I think I was trying to get it, spreading it round a little bit, and from there, Jackie Varner, who was manager at the time, had me do prairie things and take field trips. And so then we had a small prairie.
Yeah, and you had the small prairie afterwards, right? Yes.
You talked a lot about how the communities, the community now is very different from the community then. Can you explain what the differences are between the Champaign you knew to this new Champaign?
The Champaign I knew was very cohesive. You couldn't get away with nothing if you were a kid.
So like a typical African American
community, yeah, it's a typical African American community. Everybody knew everybody. There was selected families. There was a core of families that had been here for a very long period of time, and they had married into other families. So you had these various cores. So you had a central core of families, then another core of families, and then off that other core of families. So pretty much you knew everybody. If you didn't know them by face, you knew them by family connection. So they said, well, aren't you so-and-so's little girl? Oh, yeah, well, you're such and such and such and such. You look like so-and-so. Are you so-and-so's little kid? You know, that kind of stuff. So you pretty much knew everybody, or knew of everybody, or at least knew the families. And that was something that was very important. The community itself had to stand for itself because the greater community of Champaign-Urbana wasn't very cooperative with the black community. So Douglas Center, which is in Douglas Park, the community, the first Douglas Center, this is the second Douglas Center that's out there. The first Douglas Center was built in 1930s, sorry about the 1830s. In the 1930s, the community raised the money. The city and the park district was not going to give them anything because black folks didn't need anything like that. So they raised the money to have it built with a full gymnasium. Okay, they raised the money. It acted during World War II, the community center, the Douglas Community Center, also acted as a USO center because they wouldn't allow blacks from Chinook Air Force Base to go to the USO center downtown. Okay,
otherwise known as the Tuskegee Airmen.
That's right. There was Tuskegee Airmen that originally trained there, and then they moved them down to Tuskegee. That's correct.
And the ground crew at Mantua had to live in private homes because they weren't allowed to live.
Right. They weren't allowed to live anywhere, so they lived in private homes here. Right. So there was a lot of things that was happening. The Douglas Annex of the Senior Citizen Building for Douglas Center had to raise some money for that, and the Gaglianos, who had an IGA store that was originally there, when he retired, you know, the store was sitting there, and was having a battle with the Park District and the city about a senior citizen center on the north end, because they had senior citizen centers other places. No, they say they didn't have the funding to build a building. The Gaglianos gave the Park District the building exclusively for the African American senior citizens. So it was able to raise the money to renovate that building. They raised the initial money for the initial Douglas Branch Library. Okay, the library did not do that. They didn't get that money till 1990s. You know, after the old Douglas Library had been in existence for close to 20 years, and they finally raised the funds to build a new, up-to-date library. The original library was an old house.
Was it on
It was on Bradley, that's right. So, you know, there was a cohesiveness where the community raised the money for the things that the community needed. And so that cohesiveness isn't there. And the community really isn't there. The community now, I go up, and when I go up past my grandmother's house, it has changed drastically. You know, my mother was saying, there's Hispanics live there, there's Orientals. There's a lot of people that live around the area. Here, there's a lot of open space. A lot of houses are gone, and the people are dispersed throughout the Champaign now. So the majority, a lot of people of lower income, they're either in Garden Hills or out here southeast Urbana. There's a lot of them who live there. Then they're dispersed throughout the rest of the town. So there's not that cohesiveness that you have in the community.
I was wondering,
really want to know? You're going to be disappointed. Okay. I had come back from Dallas. Okay. And I was trying to get back and I couldn't go back. And I was like, okay, I was taking any job I could get. And this job gave me money doing what I do best, which is paint. So that's the way I felt about it at first. This is something that I can do. Then as I began to work with it, then it became a little important to see how well we could do it and what the community response would be. And as the community response became better, then I became really more into it. First, it was just pretty much just a job. Okay, then, I was able to do it. My family was all proud because I was doing it, and that kind of gave me a little bit of a boost. After it was done, everybody remembered who I was, so that was kind of like a little boost. And that boost probably has helped me, as I've moved farther on, because I went down to Eastern and I taught there for about 8 years. Then I went up to Chicago and started working in museums. I had worked in some museums or worked as consultants with museums in Dallas. And then when I went to Chicago, just working for museums. And that's pretty much, museums, consulting, and stuff like that. Staying pretty much within the arts and history is where I've been. So it's kind of, I guess, helped push me along. But as you go farther and farther along, the mural goes farther and farther away and it's pushed back into the background. And then, you was asking how I felt about having the mural redone. At first, no. Just let it die. Because they got pushed farther and farther and farther away. First time they contacted me, I said, well, I don't want to do it. Second time they contacted me, that's when I gave them the estimate. The second group that contacted me, I gave them the estimate of how much it was going to cost. And then I didn't have nobody contacting me. My mom was asking, when people are asking about the mural, I said, I don't want to hear about it. And then last year, fall of last year, I came back for the Black Reunion at the University of Illinois, the Black Alumni Reunion. Okay, and they were paying homage to Project 500, and I was a member of Project 500 and came in under the Project 500 program. So you begin to see people that you hadn't seen in a long time, and you begin to start thinking about it, and you find out, you remember how unique you were, going to university, how unique it was, the accomplishments that you had did, and all those kinds of things. And so I ran into Sam Smith, who's sitting in the back. He knows my mom, okay? And so he said my mom told him to talk to me, if he wanted to know a little bit more about the mural, go ahead and talk to me about it. So I talked to him about it, and then I said, well, if you folks are interested in doing something, just go ahead and contact me. Then Sharon contacts me, and then I came in the spring and had a meeting with all of them, and that's when I said, yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll do this. Now, as far as how I feel about it, the mural wants to be redone, I'm willing to give them all the information and all the stuff I can find that has to do with the mural. If I can find those cartoons, I would probably give them to you. And stuff like that, and you already have the digitized the documentation I had done for the mural. So what is needed is there. And even in my drawings that I was able to find, I actually found the drawing that I actually have the list of the paints that was used. So you have the actual listing of paints that was used as well. So those things are, there. So if somebody wants to redo it. The only thing that I would ask is if you're going to redo it, to redo that mural on that wall and then do something different along the sidewall, I think it'd be very important because at this point, it will be the memory. The mural, if it's ever redone, would be the memory of the community that will no longer be here.